Yep.
I'd like you to drive for about 40 minutes with your normal driving style. Watch for all the signs and road markings because you'll be expected to do what they tell you, and if I want you to turn, I'll give you plenty of warning.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
When you're ready then, we'll drive off. Follow this road to the end and turn right. Spot to pull over on the left somewhere. Okay, when you're ready, we'll drive on. At the end of this road, we'll turn left. Roundabout, we'll go straight on the second exit. Okay, when you're ready, we'll drive on. Take the next road on the left. And at the end of this road, we'll turn left. Pull over on the left, somewhere after the two parked cars. Okay, now I'm going to do a manoeuvre. We're going to turn the car around so we can go in the opposite direction. Try not to touch the curb when you do it. Okay, when you're ready.
Until back on.
Just continue following this road. At the end of the road, we'll turn left. traffic light will turn right. Second traffic light will turn left.
So this one's straight in and the next one.
next few minutes, I'd like to follow the signs for Great Yarmouth. Okay, if you're not sure where to go, just ask. Otherwise, just follow the signs. Straight if you can't see a sign. If it was a turn, there'd be a sign there telling you, wouldn't there?
why did it keep doing that?
Because you keep doing the same thing.
What am I doing?
Putting the clutch up too fast. Next road on the right. End of the road, we'll turn left. And the next road on the right. The end of this road, we'll turn right. traffic lights, we'll turn left.
So where's that?
A bit further out. Top of the hill, we'll turn right. All cluttered, isn't it? Go to the end of the road and turn right. Okay, now secure it and switch it off. Right, that's the end of your drive. So, how did that feel?
Awful.
Awful. It's 42 minutes, so it's about right. It's about anywhere between 40 and 45. Depends on traffic and what you get up to. How do you think it went?
Failed.
On what?
The Heartsease roundabout.
Well, it didn't go well, did it? But as you brought that one up, why do you think you failed on the Heartsease roundabout? You did panic a little bit, but it all started before then. When you watch the playback, I think you realised that you were approaching the Heartsease roundabout.
I did, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it went wrong from there. We changed down to second gear about 200 metres away, which is a little bit early.
Because I like my camera.
But we can live with that. That's what you've got to get out of your head, because you're making the roundabout harder than it is. In fact, if you'd have just got on with it, you could have driven straight onto it without stopping. But the reason you failed for your stalls, the main reason, was that your position wasn't good. You were too far out from the left-hand side. There's actually room for two cars to get side by side there. So traffic going straight on or turning right could have carried on while you stalled, but because you were in the middle, you blocked them. So you held up traffic, and that's why.
Yeah.
Yes, you stalled, and you stalled twice. But if you do stall, don't do the same thing, because you're going to get the same result. You're panicking to get away because it's a roundabout, and what happens when you bring the clutch up fast? The car stalls. You know that. So you've got to get it out of your head about the Heartsease roundabout, because what you're doing is you're panicking before you get anywhere near it, and it affects your approach. Okay, now anything else on there you think might have been?
I think I went for an amber light when I could have stopped.
Not with a lorry behind you.
No, I did see there's a lorry, but I didn't know.
Well, if you saw there was a lorry, then you don't stop.
Okay.
You were right underneath it when it changed, so I haven't even marked that one. But there's two other serious faults I've marked on the sheet you might not be aware of. One was the last corner that you just did, because that's not the first time today you've come out of a corner without stopping. Now look at the road behind you.
Yeah.
Full of parked cars. Look at the road you were on, full of parked cars. Where's a car travelling along the road going to be?
In the middle.
In the middle. So what happens if we only look one way?
Could you get hit?
You could turn into something coming the other way, couldn't you? You need to stop at these junctions. When you watch the playback, you'll see there's two or three that you never actually came to a standstill. And the first one, which was your other serious fault, you've got to think it was early on in the test, not long after we started moving. As we approached the end of the road to turn right, there was actually a sign there saying there was roadworks on that road. So if you're turning into a road that's got roadworks on it, it's a good idea to stop and see what they are and where they are before you commit to turning into it. Okay? Number of minor faults, which we'll just touch on some of them. Once your foot brake, it wasn't the single occasion, but 2 or 3 times you were a little bit late getting the car stopped. Remember, we don't want to brake to a stop, we want to slow down and roll to a stop. Steering, mentioned this last week.
I think I done that, didn't I?
3 times.
Did I?
All of them immediately after the Heartsease roundabout. 3 times you went to the inside of the wheel with your hands, which we spoke about last time, didn't we? 3 mirror faults. 2 of them were exactly the same, leaving the large roundabout, signalling left without a mirror check. Now that was why you were looking for the signs for Yarmouth. There was one other one, but that was on a left turn. But you've got to remember, while you're following the road signs, you've got to get on with your drive as well and do the rest of it as normal. Timing of signals, once you moved away with your left signal still on, you turned it off just after you moved, but it was after you moved and not before. I did note one for traffic lights. Strictly speaking, it's a pedestrian crossing, but what does a flashing amber light mean?
You can go as long as no one's crossing. But I was thinking about it, I weren't 100% sure, so I didn't want to go just in case it weren't.
Okay, minor fault, no big deal, but remember it, yes you can, it's the same as the green flashing man.
Okay.
2 right turn faults. One we just sort of didn't stop in time for the junction, which caused you to overswing the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second one, that wasn't so much that you stopped too late, but you just remember before we start the mock test, get the wheel round quick on those tighter turns. And one left turn where you made a sharp left turn. It was quite a tight turn. You made a good job of the turn, but the bus driver coming up from the left looked a little bit uneasy. It might have been better to wait for something as big as a bus to come through and then make your exit.
Yeah.
Again, that shows you've seen him. By turning out in front of him, although you didn't go on his side of the road, he was riding the white line because he's so wide.
Yeah.
You see? So he's taken a bit of extra road and you're looking for a tight turn emerging. It almost could be construed that you didn't see the bus.
Okay.
And of course, the only way to improve that is to just sit there. And if you want to say, I'll just let the bus come
Yeah.
by before I pull out, you could do that. Position for normal driving. This is more cumulative than an individual fault. Sometimes you're just sitting in the middle of the road.
Okay.
Remember, if you don't need to be out in the middle, don't go out there.
Okay.
A couple of times you're having to pull yourself back to the left lane approaching a roundabout or a traffic light junction. If you don't go out, you don't have to come back.
Yeah.
Okay. Position for normal stops. Twice when you parked, you were a bit too far from the curb.
Yeah, I know.
On one occasion was you turning the road. You'd
Yeah,
have probably got that round in 3.
Yeah.
But you certainly don't want to be leaving enough room for a bicycle to come riding up on your left-hand side when you've parked. Okay. Generally speaking, most of it was pretty good. I was quite impressed with a lot of it, but you've got to keep calm. Okay, don't let yourself get wound up. And if you make a mistake, get over it. Don't repeat it. Okay. Had that have been your test today, even if those serious faults had been minors, you'd have had too many minors.
How many did I have?
Well, I've clocked them up as I was going along. I've got 15 minor faults and 3 serious. So even if those 3 serious were all minors, that would have been 18 minor faults. It may change when I check the playback, but I think that's pretty close. But taking what it felt like, that's the main thing, because you weren't quite yourself today. Right? You can drive better than that. And a lot of the stuff that the examiners are watching for, you're getting right. But particularly when you're on your independent drive, relax and keep the car moving. All right. I was toying with the idea of your speed on a 40 road because you did about 32. If you're being left behind, you've got to think, is every car on the road speeding?
Yeah.
They don't all speed. A lot of them do, but to be fair, particularly when you've got merging situations where you've got 2 lanes going into one, you need to get on with it. If the cars are leaving you behind, you're going to have someone trying to squeeze past at the last minute, and you can avoid that just by getting a little bit more momentum into your car yourself. All right. So test next week. Armed with that knowledge, you're going to pass now.